Couldn't you make the most of this opportunity if you were president?
Well, I'm under no illusions that there's any position in the world with as much influence as that of President of the United States. But I ran for president twice, and I was in politics for a quarter century, and I honestly believe that the highest and best use of my skills and experience is to try to change the minds of people in the U.S. and elsewhere in the world about this planetary emergency that we simply have to confront.
As you know, a lot of Democrats are trying to change your mind about that. Here's how their argument goes. They said you were ahead of the curve on global warming, ahead of the curve on the internet, right to support the first Gulf War and oppose the Iraq War. No one has as much experience in national office. And they believe because of all that, you have not just the right to run again, but a duty to do it.
I appreciate them saying that. But I don't feel that I have to apologize for focusing my energies on trying to create a sufficient awareness and sense of urgency on the single biggest challenge that humankind has ever faced. It doesn't have to happen. We can solve it. We can stop the worst of the results of this crisis. And we have everything we need, save perhaps political will. And in America, that's a renewable resource. But the way to renew it is to follow the advice of James Madison and to cultivate a well-informed citizenry. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, is what
so
the saying that
you're determined to educate, not to run for president again.
I have no plans to be a candidate for president again. I don't expect to ever be a candidate for president again. I haven't made a so-called Sherman Statement because it just seems unnecessary, kind of odd to do that. I'm 58 years old. That's the new 57 now. So,
and you know, there's another debate going on in Democratic circles that says this is actually that a lot of what's going into this is your relationship with Senator Clinton. Big psycho.
Going into what?
Into your decision to run. Two schools. Here's what I've heard. Tell me what's right. Tell me what's wrong. One group says if Senator Clinton runs, you're not going to be able to help yourself. You're going to have to get into the race. The other is, no, you'll only get in if there's a vacuum, if she chooses not to run. Any truth in any of that?
No, no.
And her decision has nothing to do with yours.
No.
And so in 2008, it just isn't going to happen.
Well, as I told you, I haven't made a Sherman Statement, but that's not an effort to hold the door open. It's more the internal shifting of gears. I can't imagine any circumstances in which I would become a candidate again. I've found other ways to serve. I'm enjoying them. There's a lot about the political process I really don't like. It's a toxic process. There are things I miss, having the ability to influence events from the White House. Of course, it's unparalleled, as I've said. But, you know, there's a lot about politics I don't think I'm particularly good at. And I also think that the urgency of creating a political environment where whoever runs for president in either party will be forced to respond to this crisis is the most important thing that I can possibly do.
Mr. Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you, George.